Hello children, let's have a quick recap of chapter 16 light and then we will continue our chapter. We have learned that light is a form of energy that enables us to see around us, or we can say that light is an electromagnetic wave that can travel through medium as well as it can travel through without medium, that is it can travel through vacuum. Then we used to say ray of light, isn't it? But in reality we have a narrow beam of light which is made up of several rays. So several rays together form beam of light. So simply we use the term ray for a narrow beam of light. Ray means it is several rays of light together. So we call that as beam of light. And we know that light travels faster than sound. And what happens when light falls on a mirror? We know that light is a form of energy and which is responsible for sense of sight in the human eyes, and light can be either emitted, reflected or absorbed by different objects. It depends upon the nature of the objects. So depending upon the nature of the object, whenever light falls on the object, it is either emitted or reflected or get absorbed. And if you see when the light falls on a mirror, that is, what is mirror? A glass having a shiny surface is called as a mirror. When a light falls on a mirror, it is reflected back. Hence, mirror changes the direction of light that falls on it. But children, so what happens when light falls on a mirror? When light falls on a mirror, it is reflected back. Hence, mirror changes the direction of light that falls on it. And then we have learned what is reflection of light, the bouncing back of light rays. That is, when a light strikes the surface and bounces back, it is called as reflection of light. And so in reflection of light, we have learned various terms such as incident ray. That is, what is incident ray? The ray of light that falls on a surface is called incident ray. And then we have learned what is reflected ray. The ray of light that gets reflected back from the surface is called reflected ray. And normal, that is, normal is nothing but an imaginary line that is drawn perpendicular to the reflecting surface at the point of incidence is called as normal. So what is normal? Is a perpendicular line, imaginary line drawn to the reflecting surface at the point of incidence is called as normal. And after we have normal, we'll be having two angles. One is angle of incidence and other one is angle of reflection. Angle of incidence is denoted by small I and angle of reflection is denoted by small r. And what is angle of incidence? The angle formed between the incident ray with the normal is called as angle of incidence. And what is angle of reflection? The angle formed between the reflected ray with the normal is called as angle of reflection. And we have by activity we have learned that angle of incidence always measures equal with the angle of reflection, and that if we have repeated the activity experiment carefully by different time by changing the angle of incidence, and we found that always angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. So this is known as the first law of reflection. So what is first law of reflection? The angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. Then we have learned about second law of reflection, that is incident ray, reflected ray, and the normal at the point of incidence is always lie in the same plane. So these three, incident ray, reflected ray, and the normal are all lie in the same plane. This is second law of reflection. And this also we have learned through activity. And so till now we have learned about two laws of reflection. That is, first law states that angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. And second law states that incident ray, reflected ray, and the normal all lie in the same plane. And now let's continue about characteristics of the image formed by a plane mirror. And in standard 7 also we have learned about characteristics of image formed by a plane mirror, isn't it? That is, it has, if we see us in front of a mirror, what we have seen, that image in the mirror. So we see the same height, isn't it? So it has the same height as that of the object. And the second characteristic is that the distance between the image and the mirror and the object and the mirror is always equal. And if you move, if you stand in front of the mirror and if you move 2 steps behind, you can see that image also moved 2 steps behind. So this way we can find that the distance between the image and the mirror and the object and the mirror is always equal. And then we have the third characteristic is that the image is always erect. Erect means upright position. So the image is erect or upright. And then we have learned the image is laterally inverted. And also the image is a virtual image. What is virtual image? The image which cannot be obtained on a screen is called as virtual image. So this last two characteristic, that is image is what is lateral inversion and what is how is that virtual image is formed. This too we are going to learn in a detailed manner. So children, till now what are the characteristics of image formed by a plane mirror? We have learned. That is image. Image has the same height as that of the object. The distance between the object and the mirror as well as the image and the mirror is always equal. The image is erect or upright and the image is laterally inverted and it is a virtual image. So what is virtual image? Which image which cannot be obtained on a screen. Why? How it is formed? It is formed by the intersection of diverging rays. That to understand that better, what is that intersection of diverging rays, let's have an activity. Let's have an activity. So that is, we have to take source of light. See children, you see the figure given. Take a source of light O which is placed in front of a plane mirror. Plane mirror, it is represented by PQ. So this PQ is a plane mirror and we keep source of light. What is source of light? From where we are getting light? That is source of light. Source of light O is placed in front of a plane mirror PQ. Now we can see two rays OA and OC. These two rays are incident. It strike on the surface of a plane mirror. So this is what we call that as point of incidence. So two rays, name the two rays, incident rays, OA and OC, are incident rays. And now what we have to do is we have to draw a normal at the point of incidence. What is normal? We have to draw a perpendicular line at the point of incidence. We get normal. Isn't it? What do we call that as? It is an imaginary line. So we have to draw a normal to the surface of PQ, that is perpendicular line to the surface of PQ at the point of A and C. This point A and C are nothing but point of incidence. Then now we have to draw a reflected rays at the points A and C. Reflected rays means bouncing back. See, bouncing back ray of the rays are called as reflected rays. So this reflected rays, let's give name as AB and CD respectively. Now, if you have to extend them further, so it is reflected back means it on the same side. So if you extend it backwards, now do they meet? Yes, if they meet, then we have to mark at that point as I. So this is when if you extend it, it meet here. So it mark them as I. Now, if you see, this is view as IE, and the reflected rays, they appear to come from the point I. Since the reflected ray, it do not actually meet, but they appear to meet behind the mirror. So we say that virtual image of point O is formed at I. So such an image cannot be obtained on the screen. So we call this as virtual image. So it is, if you extend the reflected ray, it appears to be meet at one point. And if you see in front of a mirror, as if we see that image is formed behind the mirror. Got it? But so this image cannot be obtained on a screen. So this image is called as virtual image. And then next characteristic is what is lateral inversion. So we have learned that image formed on a mirror, it shows lateral inversion. So what is lateral inversion? When an image is formed in a mirror, the left side of the object appears at the right side and the right side of the object appears at the left hand side. For example, if you stand in front of a mirror and if you raise your right hand and if you see your image in the mirror, we can see that the left hand of that image, isn't it? So the object appears, the left side of the object appears to be right side of the image, and the right side of the object appears at the left side of the image. So this what we call that as lateral inversion. Okay, children, and till now we have learned that two laws of reflection. That is, first law, the angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. And the second law states that incident ray, reflected ray and the normal all lie in the same plane. And then we have learnt about characteristics of image formed by a plane mirror. So what are the characteristics of image formed by a plane mirror? It has the same height as that of the object. The distance between the object and the mirror and the image and the mirror is always equal. And the image formed in a plane mirror is always erect or upright. And the image is laterally inverted. And the image formed in a plane mirror is a virtual image, isn't it? Virtual image, now just now we have learned virtual image is the image which cannot be obtained on a screen. And this is formed by the intersection of diverging rays. That is, if you extend the reflected ray, it appears to meet at one point. So this is called as intersection of what is that diverging rays. So it is called as virtual image. So these are the characteristics of image formed by a plane mirror. That's all for this session. Thank you.